A friendship forged in music. A partnership in its 4th decade. A lifetime in pursuit of the perfect song. And a community built along the way. 14 studio albums and another one in the wings. The band is Skydiggers. This is Employee of the Myth. Track 2, My City Is Gone. And now, in conversation with Jane Gowan of the Music Buddy podcast, Andy Maize and Josh Finlayson, Skydiggers.
Track 2 on Hide Your Light is called My City Is Gone. And it's an infectious soul classic. It just hums along and it's just got so much groove to it. But it's really addressing what you feel is being lost in Toronto, is from what I can tell. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. I think so. Or even on a personal level, you know, a lot of touchstones from my youth and even years of playing in bands. Mm-hmm. Everything's disappearing to make way for progress, for condos, basically.
Very tall buildings.
Mm-hmm. Very tall buildings.
And you guys, in your early days, and we have talked a little bit about this, but in the early days of the band coming up with Andrew Cash and Pete Cash and the acoustic meltdown at the Spadina Hotel, and there were also other, the Spadina Hotel venue is gone, and the Spadina Hotel...
It's an innovation hub now, Jane.
Okay. Well, it was an innovation hub back then, too.
It was. The Great Cabana, the late Great Cabana Room was an awesome place.
But there were other venues. I didn't live here at that time, but there were other venues that I've heard about that sound quite like they were important for musicians coming up at the time, like Larry's Hideaway, or
Larry's.
The Edge, or the Turning Point.
The Beverly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have some favorite moments or gigs from the memorable moments, even as, an audience member?
Well, seeing and hearing the Rheostatics at the Beverly with the Soul Patrol horn section was pretty spectacular. L'Étranger at anywhere in town. The Ramblers at Larry's, and also at the Turning Point, where anyone over the age of 12 could get a beer.
Nice. And the Ramblers was Josh's band?
That was mandatory, I think.
Yeah, the Ramblers was Josh's band.
Yeah.
And the Hi-Fis at the Cabana Room, who went on to become Blue Rodeo. That was like seeing the Beatles in the Hamburg days for me. It was before everything broke out. But yeah, it's so much great stuff. And the really cool thing was that, there were 50-seat rooms, 100-seat. You could kind of work your way up. There was a ladder that you could work your way up to.
Oh, I see.
And and the goal was to play at the Horseshoe, or then later Lee's Palace. These venues. And that's when you knew that you were doing well, when you could get gigs in those venues.
Josh, any thoughts from those days, like those venues?
The Turning Point and Larry's Hideaway were venues that I remember very distinctly, being, 15, when I first played, even before the high school band, the Ramblers, playing in other bands and being like 15 years old and playing in those venues. It was just not a big deal in those days. Mm-hmm. Simpler times, I guess. But to Andy's point, that graduating from smaller venues and building an audience and a little community and taking that with you was a very organic process. And I know I may have mentioned this before, but we had this residency at the Beverage Room that when we took over from Andrew Cash's acoustic meltdown, and that really forced us to focus in on developing more material. And so we would rehearse maybe once or twice a week for that Monday night show. Mm-hmm. And some stuff would work, some stuff wouldn't work, but it was almost like a workshop in that sense, like the way actors might do workshops and stuff. So it was pretty casual, and we weren't there could be humor, there could be mistakes, and it was a great way to develop in front of an audience and as a band. That was something that Toronto was providing at that point.
And do you think there are still people who come to your gigs today that were at those gigs back then? Or do you know maybe?
No, for sure. No,
Yeah, there are.
it's amazing. And people
So cool.
come, and we just saw someone the other night at the Revival, Paul Stewart.
Paul Storrs used to come and he would record us. He had a stereo microphone and a digital machine, and he would record shows all around town. So he's got a whole archive of tapes.
Oh, wow.
Of that time period of Toronto acts, as well as he would do. He was doing some video as well. Yeah, so it was nice to see him.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, this song, I mean, it kind of calls out, it's got a bit of criticism in it, I'd say,
Mm-hmm.
of the powers that be or what's happening.
Well, the city's being run by developers, rather than the people.
Yeah,
And the
for the
people are
love
what
of
make
money.
the city great.
Yeah.
It really is. The neighborhoods have always made Toronto great. And what's happening with the condoization of the city is that it is making all of the neighborhoods the same, because the ground floor retail are all these what they call anchor tenants, which are Shoppers Drug Mart, LCBO, chain fast food restaurants, and dentists. So if you build a condo in Little India or Little Korea or Koreatown or wherever, suddenly you're displacing the street retail that made that neighborhood unique.
Toronto is so unique in the way that you can drive all the way along Bloor or whatever and just see so many different types of businesses as you go. It just,
We're in Greektown right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if you travel from where I live, close to Main Street to here, there's hundreds of different types of businesses all along the way. And I love that about Toronto.
Absolutely.
A song like this that does call out wrongs. I don't know if you'd call yourselves activists, but it's couched in this super infectious, kind of groovy, soulful, upbeat thing that you could dance to and sing along to. Do you think that'll get the message through even more?
Well, this is our Philly soul fantasy song. Bit by bit and brick by brick, my city is gone. Year after year, it's been getting clearer now. My city is gone. For the love of money, that's why you did. Very early on, we talked about Philly soul, and I was a huge fan as a kid of the OJs and the Spinners.
Yeah.
And you've got songs like Backstabbers that are social protest songs that you could dance to. So we started writing this song on February the 4th, 2020 in Kingston, Ontario. We were doing a show with the Art of Time Ensemble, and it was a show of protest songs. And Josh and I were in the dressing room there. We were doing Masters for the program. We were doing Masters of War. We were doing Buddy, Can You Spare a Dime? And
Sam Stone.
And Sam Stone, John Prine. And Keep Your Eyes on the Prize. But we were sitting in the dressing room, and Josh just started playing this riff. And I had a few ideas, and so I recorded it on voice memo,
Very good.
which has taken the place of calling your home answering machine to leave an idea on that. And so it really started that day, and then we kind of pursued it after there.
The horn parts, I mean, Andy, you've come a long way.
Yeah, it's not me. Yes, that's all Daniel. That's Daniel Lapp. Yeah.
And there's strings on here too. On this particular song.
Victoria musician Richard Moody arranged and played the strings on this song as well. And as a reference, we sent him money.
just the little
some
grooves.
people got to have it.
Yeah.
That's my tribute. Yeah.
The song talks about the city changing, which it has, obviously. And, your band has evolved a lot. And sometimes good things can come from change. And sometimes, we're left heartbroken or whatever it is. But I mean, Skydiggers, especially after Pete left the band, you were faced with kind of like, what do we do now? He being the principal songwriter at the time. And then you go in and you do Desmond's Hip City, and that was a time of a lot of change for you in the band, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. It sure was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. We went right into it. I think certainly I was emotionally and personally in a pretty tough spot, and didn't really know what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And my first reaction was, we just have to keep going. We just have to keep going.
Right.
And luckily, I've got my brothers, Josh and Ron, who who picked up the slack for me, because I was not really capable of functioning properly at that time. Mm-hmm. And Josh wrote most of the material on Desmond's. Mm-hmm. Including, for the first time, lyrics, which you hadn't really written before, in any great degree, and melodies, of course. So that was a lifesaver, mm-hmm. and it was a big transition for us.
Well, I mean, the song Desmond's Hip City, if you take a look at the video for that song, it's just so great to see the footage from where Brixton, is that the neighborhood that you were staying in at the time?
Yeah, we're squatting.
That store was?
Squatting in Brixton, and the record store was right more or less above my window. There were train tracks that all these shops were underneath the archways and then the building I was in was right behind that. So you could hear the music coming, starting in the morning and going into the evening. And the footage came. I was looking for, because we were talking about last year was the 25 years since Desmond's Hip City came out, mm-hmm. and I was looking for some photos of Desmond's Hip City online, of which I found a few. But then I stumbled across this old, I think it was Thames TV footage. It was news footage I don't know if it's a London-based station but they had this footage, and it was just a car driving through Brixton, and my son Max, he's a photographer and likes to make videos, and I asked him to put together a little video with the song we re-recorded with Desmond's, the re-recording of Desmond's that we put out. So I sent it to my friends, the guys that I played in the band with in London at the time, and it was very much a memory that they all enjoyed seeing, because it's very much a time capsule.
And now, live from the Woodshed Studios in Toronto, Josh and Andy and Desmond's Hip City.
I feel the bass pins pounding down in Desmond's Hip City, playing all the favorites again. I feel the trains roll slowly over Desmond's Hip City, floating through the market again. And while the marketplace was full, I'd be drawn to my window, feeling rhythms undertow. I'd be dragged down below. I feel the backbeat dragging down in Desmond's Hip City, playing all the favorites again. Desmond's Hip City, playing all the favorites again. Desmond's Hip City. all the favorites again.
With Pete Cash's departure from Skydiggers, Desmond's Hip City was viewed at the time as a musical departure for the band. Desmond's opened a door of innovation and songwriting that Josh and Andy continue to follow to this day. And now, with My City Is Gone, once again, Skydiggers.
Bit by bit and brick by brick, my city is gone. Year after year, it's been getting clearer now. My city is gone. For the love of money, for the love of money, that's why you do it. 'Cause everything you touch falls apart, ends up in ruins. Towers block the sun that used to shine on everyone now. Our city is gone. Year after year, fear feeds on fear now. Our city is gone. For the love of money, for the love of money, that's why you do it. All for the love of money, for the love of money, that's why you do it. 'Cause everything you've touched comes apart, ends up in ruins. My city is gone. Gimme, 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 gimme some cash. Gimme, 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 gimme your cash. Our city is gone.
That's beautiful, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, that's a wrap on track 2.
The album is called Hide Your Light. The band is Skydiggers, and this has been Employee of the Myth. Employee of the Myth is hosted by Jane Gowan and recorded at Blue Rodeo's Woodshed Studios in Toronto, Ontario. The podcast is engineered by Tim Vesely and mixed by Jane Gowan. If you enjoyed this conversation, please rate, review, share, subscribe, and play it loud. My name is Joel Stewart. Thanks for listening.
Don't look to me for the answer. I don't know nothing anymore. I'll do my best in the meantime and wonder what it's been for. Je t'aime toujours, mon amour. Je t'aime toujours, mon amour.